Throughout history, ships have relied on lighthouses to inform ships of where they were, as well as the conditions near the land they were passing. The days before satellite tracking and GPS mapping had captains relying by other means to plot their locations and courses. This was the case not only for the many oceans that cover most of our planets, but for the Great Lakes as well. Basically, any situation or course that presented danger to passing ships of any kind needed to be marked. This was done in the form of a high-intensity beam of light that would rotate from a mounted position. This structure was known as a lighthouse. These were usually built and located on tiny islands or peninsulas that extended into the water. They warned of dangerously shallow waters, as well as possible obstacles such as rock formations that protruded from the ocean floor towards the surface of the water. These were most dangerous as they did not break the surface, giving the ship a visual warning to avoid the area or navigate through a certain course. Lighthouses also serve as a positional reference point as well. These are also important in heavily used shipping lanes. Such high-traffic shipping lanes were susceptible of not only the shallow waters or dangerous currents or rock formations, but had to keep track of fellow ship traveling along the same route. But what happened when a certain landmark or course in shipping lanes were not visible to the passing ships? In certain problem areas, captains of the ship were unable to see landmarks to guide them. Perhaps dangerous, shallow waters or underwater rock formations would threaten ships, but these were not marked. This would lead to the creation of a floating lighthouse. In more formal terms, they would be called lightships. These lightships would be anchored far from land, giving the passing ships the landmarks and positioning references they needed, and would be clearly visible to all ships. Lightships were used on both the West Coast and the East Coast shipping lanes. They would also be used on the Great Lakes as well. They would be equipped with lights, either blinking, rotating, or in some instances, both. They were equipped with fog horns as well to alert ships in low visibility situations. Under most circumstances, they would be manned by the United States Coast Guard. Approximately 179 lightships were built, the early 1920s to the 1950s. At any one time, as much as 50 or more lightships could be stationed at one time along the most dangerous U.S. seaboard locations. In certain circumstances, they would be used for other purposes as well. For example, in 1942, during the Second World War, lightship LV-112 was repainted and became the USS Nantucket and was used for patrolling waters around New England. Since I am from New England, I will be focusing on the lightships that were anchored south of Nantucket, Massachusetts, and particularly Nantucket LV-112, which has been designated a national landmark. The LV-112 was built in 1936 in Wilmington, Delaware. She was built by Pusey and Jones Shipbuilding. She was paid for by the White Star Line, the owners of such ships as the RMS Titanic, the RMS Olympic, and the RMS Britannic, to list a few. In fact, LV-112's predecessor, LV-117, while stationed south of Nantucket, was rammed and sunk by the RMS Olympic. The huge ocean liner literally cut the lightship in half and sunk it in less than a minute. 11 of LV-117's crew perished in the accident. The ship's bell would eventually be covered, and today the lost crew members are being honored at the National Lightship Sailors Memorial, located in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Nantucket LV-112 is just over 148 feet long. Her beam is 32 feet and her draft is 16 feet. She displaces just over 1,050 tons. She is the largest lightship ever built in the United States. Built with the specifications of the United States Navy, She has a double hull with double hull plating and high compartmentalization as well. She would be built with oil-fed boilers, giving her a top speed of 12 knots. These would be replaced by a 900 horsepower diesel engine during a refit in 1960. Nantucket LV-112 would serve up to 100 miles offshore, which was the furthest placement of any lightship. The distance would also make her the only lightship that would serve in international waters. She would serve for 39 years, which would be the longest tenure by any lightship. She would be decommissioned in 1975 and serve longer than any other lightship and be one of the last to be taken from service. In 1989, Nantucket LV-112 would be declared a national landmark by the U.S. Department of the Interior. The ship would be used as a museum and be located in areas from New York to Boston. She would be bought and sold several times during that time period. But today, as of this writing, which is March 9th, 2021, Nantucket LV-112 is located in Boston Harbor, the shipyard and marina at 256 Marginal Street, East Boston, Massachusetts. She is a floating museum, currently being restored to her former glory, and is available for viewing. I will make sure to put the link in the video description.